Hi everyone. Today I am going to give you a short tutorial on the Chic and Shabby action collection. This action set I've worked on for months and months and months and months. And I say that it was inspired by carnivals and all those fun, funky, vintage, retro photos that you see. I really loved the effect. I think that it's just so cool and it was so hard to recreate. I couldn't find tutorials or anything on how to do it, so I decided I would just make up my own actions and see how it went, and I loved how it turned out and I was so excited, so I just created a whole set of these really cool vintage retro actions. Now these are very creative, and if you like clean cut pictures and you have like no imagination, then this set is not for you. This is for fun, this is to play with, this is to give your pictures drama and just to have fun with it. So first I don't know why this keeps popping up. Every time I record a video it pops up, I don't know. But anyway, let's go through the set here. First you're going to get these 8 vintage actions. Carnival is definitely my favorite. It's Carnival for a reason. It reminds me of a vintage Carnival photo, like of those Ferris wheels where they look so cool with the teal skies and all those colors. It's just beautiful. It's my favorite action. And then you're going to get these, there's 5 hazes right here, I believe. There's 5 vintage hazes. Now these are vintage colors that I added in a couple of different layers, made them it's a little bit different than just adding a haze. I mean, I've added some layers and to create a little bit of more color into the haze. And then you also get these 5 add-ons, the high pass effect, which we'll go over, which is really a pretty neat sharpening effect. The vintage vignettes that we'll go over. Okay. And then you get the pink vignette, the vintage sky brush, and the background butter, which I know a lot of you are going to love, and we'll go over that one also. So this first picture here, of course, is another picture of my boys. I use a lot of pictures of my boys because they are my little test bunnies. This was from vacation in Myrtle Beach a couple of months ago, and I am going to show you how to run the Carnival action. Now don't freak out when you see it when it stops. There we go. Now you see it looks pretty harsh. It washes them out. It doesn't look that great. So let me show you what you do. Now what I want to run this action for is because I want to color the background mostly more than my actual boys. So I want to tone it down just a little bit. As you can see, let's bring it down just a little bit. And then on our mask here, because all of your actions in groups will have the mask here, should be white. So then you want to make sure you have a black brush. And I don't want it quite that big. Maybe not even that big. And not even at 100%, but let's go down to say, I don't know, 60, 65, 70, whatever your preference is. And just erase it off of them. And you can see that bluish vintage haze quickly disappears. And they look like their normal selves again. I'm going to have to make this just a little bit smaller to get down here, to get my son's hand. Now I'm like a really sloppy masker, that's what you want to call it. When it comes to masking off haze and color, I'm not that particular about it. This is just to show you how it works. Obviously, if you're doing something for a client or whatever, you want to take more of your time to erase it off. That's basically all I did to this picture, was just use it on the background. And as you can see, it adds color to the background, and I like the drama. It looks different. I think I really like vintage. I just like vintage. I like the vintage effects. I like the vintage colors. I like the retro. I don't know if it's out of style or what, but to me, I just love it. And I think a lot of other people love it too. So this is the Carnival on the background. And you can turn it up if you want to go with the full effect. You can come in here. You can change out these layers. Like if I don't want the haze, then just get rid of the haze, and there you have this really pretty color, which is actually quite beautiful. I actually like that better than with the haze. You know, you don't always have to add hazes. I am a haze and matte girl. I love hazes. I love mattes. but not everybody does, and you can certainly turn it off if you want to. This is also a little bit of a color fade because if you see, it's really not that intense here, the color, but on a lot of photos it might be intense. So if you see, this is with the color fade off. So you can see the colors are much more intense, and this is with the color fade on. So it makes it a little bit, you know, like in older pictures, the saturation isn't always so strong. So you can take the color fade off if you want to. There's like contrast and there's all kinds of stuff. The color shift down here is what, let's see, maybe it's one of these tones is what gives you the reddish tone here. And then there's another tone that gives you like the bluish hue. So that's pretty much that action. And like I said, you just erase it off your subjects if you don't want it that strongly. It's just all preference. So let's go on to another one, and I can show you. Now this picture of my son, Austin, you can see his face. I don't know why I love this picture so much. I think it's because this background is so beautiful, even though they're not really paying attention. I do love the background, and you know, photographer kids, they don't always cooperate, and this is just a nice outtake of our vacation, I guess. So this one, there's, oh my goodness. So this one, we are going to, I haven't even ran any actions on this one, so I really don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to kind of play around and see what actions we want to run. Let's try Seashore real quick. I think this adds like a bluish, oh wow, yeah, see, it really turns the sky, it was so intense that it made it so teal in the background, and obviously it kind of washed my boys out a little bit, and the background's kind of intense, so just lower your opacity. And then, like, once again, click on this mask, make sure you got a black paintbrush here, and then just go in and, you know, erase a little bit of it off of your subject. You don't want to erase it all off, really, because you don't want them to look like they stand out from the background. You want them to still blend into their surroundings. Just erase it off a little bit, and that just looks totally cool to me. Like the teal sky, like this is the before, this is the after. That teal color, oh, I just eat that up. It just looks like candy. So that's with Seashore. And then if you can add, you know, let's try to add like this vintage vignette. Now these actions, this set is stackable, so you can just run one action after another. My old actions weren't like this. I don't know why, I just never did stack them. I didn't really know how. So now they are stackable, and this is with the vintage vignette, and you can see that it's kind of got like a vintage type blue over here. It's a little too strong for me, so you can take it down a little bit if you want. And definitely, I usually always erase vignettes off of my subject. Pretty much always, because I don't want them to be darker. I want the edges to be darker. I don't really want them to be darker. And you know, you can always take this a step further. Like if you just want the darkening on the edges, you could take your brush, you can make it pretty big like this, and then you can lower the opacity a lot more, and then just kind of brush off around them and just leave it on the edges. You know, take it out here like in a, and just leave it on the corners, really, if that's what you want. And then that looks pretty cool to me. You know, I really like that. That's with the vignette. Then you can even add a haze on top if you want. I like this without a haze, but I'm going to go ahead and add one and just kind of show you what it looks like. Let's try the vintage yellow haze real quick. Yeah, see, I don't think this picture really needs any haze because it's pretty, like, light in the background. So I'm going to leave this without a haze. But I just love this. I think that this just looks so nice. This is with Seashore, mostly on the background, a little bit erase off your subjects, and then the vintage vignette. I think that looks pretty nice. I'm really happy with that. So let's move on and try another one. This is a very adorable picture of my son, Caden. This is his first time in the sand. My oldest son, Austin, was born in North Carolina. Caden here was not. He was born up here in Ohio, so this was really his first taste of the sand. And he just loved it. So this one, I think I'm going to run this action right here, You Are Going to Love. And I'm going to give you your first taste of it right here. Of course, we are going to bring it down a little bit after we run it. And now that I'm looking at this image, I'm thinking that it might be well, he might be just a little too dark for me. So all of these actions really need to be run on images that are properly exposed. And I definitely always recommend cleaning up your, like shooting in RAW and cleaning up your images in RAW before you bring them into Photoshop and play with them. But just for the sake of showing you this, I'm just going to go ahead and brighten this up just a little bit because it is a tad bit darker than I like. You know what I think might even work better instead of adding that? Let's go ahead and duplicate it and just add a screen. Or that's way too bright. So you just want to lower it just a bit. Now that's pretty good. We're going to keep it like that. The white balance is horribly off, but that's okay because that's what this sunset sailing is going to do. So go ahead and let's show you how this works. Look at how bright that got. Oh my goodness. It's just beautiful, right? It just really, I just love this action. But as you can see, this does have a slight vignette. And the center of the vignette, where the light part is over here because he is off center. I am going to show you how to fix that. If you have a vignette and your subject is off center and you want the light on the subject or the face, this is what you're going to do. Come down here to this vignette. This is where the vignette is. Come over here and double click on this icon, okay? Drag the box out of your way and then come over here and find the center and move it. And there, now you can see that my son's face is definitely a lot brighter. Just put the center of the vignette on your subject's face, click OK, and that's it. And now you've got the vignette, and the light is on his face, exactly where we want it to be. So this is before the sunset sailing, this is after. Really brightens it up. So but that's not all we're going to do. We're going to add a little bit more. This is just enough for me. I want a little bit more drama. So I think we're going to go, let's see, do I want to use Seashore or the penny candy? I think we're going to go try the penny candy. Hit play. Like I said, these are all stackable. Shouldn't be any problems there. Now this is obviously way too harsh. I want to drop this down to like 40%. So that's the before, that's the after, and it just adds an extra vintage touch. Okay, everyone, sorry about the interruption. My husband came home and the dogs just lost their minds. So anyway, when you add this, the penny candy, it just adds like a touch of vintage and a little bit of haze. If you don't like the haze or the matte, you can come in here and you can turn it off. Turn off the matte, and then you just got this extra vintage touch. And I just absolutely love this photo with these two actions. I just think that they look so nice together. Very bright, very beachy, very summery, very vintage, which is the whole point. So that is this photo with the sunset sailing and the penny candy. Next, we are going to go in and do this picture of my husband and my Caden, my 3-year-old. And this one, I am going to show you the full effect of sunset sailing. Now you can see we already had a pretty nice sky. I mean, come on, this was sunset on the beach, beautiful sky. That's a given. This is not a fake sky. This was what was there. But I'm going to show you what sunset sailing can really do for an evening shoot on the beach. So all right, now check this out. How beautiful is this? Now I have to say that the vignette might be just a little too harsh, or, well, no, I like the vignette, I guess. But we definitely want to adjust that vignette because, as you can see, the center is kind of all the way over here on my son's face and not so much on my husband's face. So let's move it over a little bit. Hit OK. And there you go. And I don't even want to turn this action down. I don't even want to change it. I might turn the vignette down just ever so slightly. Actually, you know what? Let's leave it up and let's just erase it off of them. That's what I normally do anyway. So what the heck, right? Let's just erase it off of them. Definitely get it off their face and just bring it up, feather it out a little bit because you don't want it to look like just like a white circle around them. So maybe let's turn it down just a tad. But there you go. So this is before the sunset sailing. Pretty nice picture on its own, but it's kind of cool looking, little blue, needs a little warmth. And this is after sunset sailing. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm not even going to do anything else to this photo. So let's go on and work with our next photo. Here's another picture of my son and my husband. They are crazy adorable. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this one. I think we're just going to kind of wing this. Let's go ahead and try... I don't really want sea salt because that's kind of a faded type action. I really want this one because this is pretty... Actually, I kind of wonder what it would look like if we mixed a few. Let's try sunset ceiling real quick. Okay. Let's lower that a little bit. We don't want it quite so strong. Come in here, take your vignette, double click, adjust the center a little bit until you see the light where you want it. Hit OK. So that's before this, the sunset ceiling. This is after. And then I think we're going to go ahead and add fair faded. Now this is like a vintage film action. Now this is obviously way too strong at full effect for this image. We're going to go down here, even though it's already at 50%, we're going to bring it down a little bit more, and then we're going to come in here, and you can take out the matte if you want. I mean, you don't have to have the matte. You don't even have to have, I think we're going to leave the lightened because it is rather dark already. I'm going to take out the film. I don't think I'm going to take that out because I actually like the contrast that it gives. But it does seem a little bit dark. So you know what else I think we're going to add? I think we're going to add another haze. Let's try. Let's go with a pink haze. Since the background is pretty pink already, let's try to add a pink haze and see what it looks like. Let's lower that down. You know, you can even change the blending mode of these whole groups. So like I can go in here and I can change this to soft light, and it lightens it up and it gives it a little tint of a haze, adds a little bit of contrast. So I think I kind of like that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep it that way. I like it. It lightens it up. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and select this and create a group so you can see all three of the actions together. This is before and this is the after. It's very vintage. It's got purple tones and red tones and blue tones, and it's got that little bit of a film, and I just love it. I mean, you could always add a center fill light on here if you wanted to, or you can, you know, brighten it up. It probably needs a little brightened up there in the middle, but I'm going to leave it. I really like this. So there's that one. Let's get into this one. Now this is just a very blah photo of my son. It's not really anything special. It could use a little bit of something. I'm not really sure what we're going to do for this one, but we can go ahead and pick. So we don't want to use sunset ceiling because we've already used that quite a few times. I think I've shown you all these except for maybe sea salt, which does kind of fade out. And I don't really want to fade anything. So I kind of wonder if we just added like a haze. I don't want to use mostly sunny because I think on this photo it's so cool that I think it's going to make it come out kind of a funky color. So we don't really want to do that. Let's run sea salt and see what it looks like. Might really fade it out. Oh dear, that really fades it out, and it's like sea salt is a very cool action and a very faded action. So something that looks like this, it's not going to work on. I don't want to try that one. I don't really want to try Paradise. Let's go ahead and try Carnival. Just for kicks. Oh geez, looks so blue. So the background looks cool, but his skin not so much. So let's go ahead and erase that off of him because we don't want him looking like a zombie. Let's turn our opacity back up here and get that off of him. Now the background itself looks pretty cool, but I think this could definitely use some warmth. And since these are stackable, go ahead and add warmth. Paradise will warm up quite a bit, but I actually have a special photo right here that I'm going to show you how to use Paradise on. But let's go ahead. I actually designed Paradise for backgrounds rather than, oh wow, that really did brighten it up, or really warmed it up quite a bit. I want to tone that down just a little bit. And you know, maybe you don't really want it on that background. If you want to keep the background looking, I guess we do like it on the background. It does look pretty good. So, okay, sorry for another interruption. That time it was my son who was dying of thirst. So anyway, this is like really, it just feels I don't know, it feels very vintagey. If you see how cool it was before and how much the Paradise really warmed it up, I mean, I think that I actually like this. So let's go ahead and move on to this one right here. Now, this is the photo with the fireflies. Everybody remembers the photo with the fireflies. And I gave this overlay free, which you can still find on my website, the Firefly overlay. And I've had so many people ask me about the background. Now, the background was all hand edited, so many layers, took me probably 45 minutes to complete from beginning to end. But I'm going to show you how one of the actions in this set, actually a couple of the actions in this set, can kind of recreate this look. So I am going to show you how to kind of recreate this look, from recreating the color to adding the overlay and to, just added a little spot there, to adding the light in the jar. So we're going to run Paradise here. Now, obviously I don't like this on them. This is way too bright and harsh to be on them. And when I edited the original image, I did not add any of the color that's on this background onto them. I actually just edited the background mostly. So I'm going to show you when you do this action, just go ahead and erase it off of them. I want to make sure you have a small brush, since I'm such a horrible masker, that's what you want to call it. Horrible word, I suppose. So I'm just going to do this just for the sake of showing you. I'm not going to be too tedious with it. Now obviously, if you erase it all off of them, they don't look like they match the background. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. First, let's just take it all off, and then we're going to add it back to where we want it. Okay, so now go back and turn your brush into a white brush, which is going to paint the color back on. Lower the opacity down to maybe like, I don't know, between 30 and 40, depending on your preference. You want to go back and you want to add it back onto their hair, because you want to make it look like the sun, that warmth of that sun is, hitting their head right here. And then taking this and lowering it down again and making your brush bigger, you just want to go over them all and paint on a layer of that color. Now, as you can see, they match the background again. Yay! Okay, so now the next action we are going to add is the background butter. Now this is going to add a slight creamy blur type effect to a background that's already blurred. I don't know what it would do to a background that's not blurred, because I don't ever have backgrounds that are sharp. I use, I love the cream, so I pretty much shoot all my photos. What you see back here, this blur, this was all done in camera with my 135, my Canon, my Beast, my favorite lens. So this is all natural, but I do want to add a little bit of more creaminess to it. So we're going to run this background butter. Now, as you can see, it tells you to use a black brush to erase the effect off your subject, because we don't want our subjects to have any kind of blurring effect. But before I erase it, I want to show you. Look at them now. They're pretty. Check out the blur effect. You can definitely tell the difference. This is with the blur effect on. This is with it off. Now it also adds a little bit of contrast. As you can see, it does make the colors in the back a little bit more intense, a little bit more reddish, giving you a little bit more of this effect here. And I'm gonna show you how to dim it down a little bit. So we're gonna go in, take our black brush, lower the opacity, lower our brush size and raise our opacity, and brush it off of them, because we don't want any part of this on them. We don't want anything about them to be blurry. So just take it off. Okay. That's pretty good. So now I just want to do a little extra rubbing on their face to make sure that there's nothing there. So that is before the background butter and after, and it does add a little bit. Now as I can see here, there's some green showing through, which means I went a little too, either a little too much on this. Let's see which one to do. Take the white brush and try to paint it back on. I did paint a little, take a little too much off there, because we don't want any of the green to come through. We want it all to be pretty warm, and I think I went too much on this too. Yeah, see, so that brings back that color there a little bit. It's okay if it's on them a little bit. I mean, they are in the picture, so a little bit of that warmth on them isn't so bad. Of course, I don't want as much as I got right there. Okay, so that's pretty good. And now we're going to add a haze, mainly onto the, okay, wait a minute, I'm looking right here and I'm seeing still some more green there, and that's going to drive me crazy. So let's just go in there with a much smaller brush. Oh no, we need a white brush, not a black brush. And try to color this back in without getting too much on their skin, because we definitely don't want that on their skin. It's so warm. So hard to get into these creases, so if I just take this and I get a little overlap on the skin, that's okay, because I can just go back and take it off a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go back in here now and add just a little bit. And that's still too much, because I'm trying to correct their, oh dear, there we go, that's good enough. We are just going to leave it at that. And okay, now we're going to add a purple haze, because as you can see here, it is a little bit more purple toned. You could probably do the blue haze or the purple haze, but I'm going to try the purple haze first and see what that looks like. Short top layer selected, we're in the purple haze, and yay! So I don't want this on them. So taking your black brush, take your opacity all the way up, make your brush a little bit bigger, and then just go ahead and erase that haze off of your subject. You can, I mean, with this picture you can't really tell if there's haze on the edges. I mean, you don't want it to look too much like they stand out like they kind of do now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and, using a white brush, lower the opacity pretty far down and just paint enough on so that way it looks like they belong in the picture, but it's not washing them out so much. And I'm going to try to avoid their faces, lower the opacity a little bit more, and then go over their face, just so that way they blend in and they don't look like they are standing out too much. So now we're going to go in and we are going to, I'm going to select all these groups, make a group out of them, and then turn it off. You can see there's the original, and there is with the three actions that we use, the Paradise, background butter, and the vintage purple. Now even for fun, you can go in and you could try to add the blue haze and see what it does. Might be too hazy now. That's pretty hazy. And maybe even, if we did a soft light, put it underneath of the purple haze. I don't even see, that just lightens it up. We don't really want that. So, I mean, if you want to add more haze, you can, but I don't really like it. So now you've got a pretty warm background, and I mean, it's pretty close to this, except the background on this image is just a little bit darker, which you could do if you wanted to make that darker. You could easily add a vignette, any kind of vignette if you wanted to, or you can even take your background layer, duplicate it, come up here and hit multiply, lower the opacity down to where you want it, add a mask, take your black brush at full, almost full, erase it off your subjects. You don't have to be too clean with this because I'm going to show you how to fade this in. Make sure that it's all off their faces. We don't want any of that on their faces. Then go in, lower the opacity again, make your brush a little bit bigger, and go around them one more time here. Oh, I did it again. Annabelle, please stop. Oh, sorry, another interruption. There's a shooting range right down the road from us, and someone's out there shooting, and of course it drives our dogs crazy. So anyway, using it at a lower opacity and a bigger brush, you want to go ahead and erase it a little bit more around them so it kind of fades them into the background a little bit more. And as you can see, this is starting to look a lot like the same, except the colors just seem to be more intense over here. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to, I'm going to flatten these layers so I can show you how to get the light in your jar. Very simple. So duplicate your layer. You can name it if you want to, but I'm not going to. Go up to filter, down to render, lens flare, and wait for it to come up. Sometime. Here we go. You can see my lens flare is kind of already in that jar. Now you just want to put it in that jar as best as you can. You can adjust the brightness if you want to, but I am going to leave it like it is. And then there we got that. Of course we don't want all this mess around it, so go ahead and add a layer mask. Take your black, probably at 100%, and just erase, a lot of this haze off of here. You can leave like some of the haze around them. You don't want too much on their faces. Like that's pretty good, right? I think that's pretty good, but you want the brightness to be around their face a little bit. And you can even go in here if you want to and add a fill layer, go to a gradient, add like a white translucent type layer here, add it on radial. As you can see, that's going to add a lot of brightness. You want to put the center there at the jar, hit OK, and it'll bring down your opacity a lot. Go back to your layer mask, lower your brush, lower your opacity a little bit, and just kind of take it off their faces a little bit because you want to be able to see their faces. I don't want too much of the haze to fall on their face for obvious reasons. And then that does kind of look a little fake. We're going to go ahead and like lower this a little bit more. That way there's a glow there, but not too much. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a glow, but not too much. So I think that looks pretty good. So next we are going to add the Firefly overlay, which I've already showed you how to do once, but I'm going to go ahead and add it for the finishing touch, which you can get free on my website. It was a free overlay. Please don't mind my poodle. She barks at everything. It's crazy. Go ahead and add it to screen. Add a layer mask. Make sure you have your black brush selected. Making a bigger brush at 100% opacity and just erase it off your subjects because you obviously don't want little dots all over their faces. And there you go. There's a pretty good imitation of this image that I spent hours and hours and hours on. And it looks very similar, except the colors in this one are a little bit more intense. Their skin looks to be a little bit off color, but you could fix their skin easily if you just add some oranges and some, well, I'd say some reds and some yellows back into their skin. I'll actually be making a separate action set of brushes which will have a skin correcting brush on here, so I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you can try to do it on your own if you wanted to. So there you go. This is the Chic and Shabby collection. It is very fun. It's very versatile. There's just so much that you can do with it. So go ahead and play with it. Make sure you play with the layers and the opacities, and a lot of these look so awesome on just backgrounds. Like this one. This was all just done on the background mostly. It's just enough on your subject to keep them blended in, but it doesn't really change the effect of them too much. If you want to go ahead, like in this action or in this photo, I added probably a little bit more light to their faces, and I changed their skin color a little bit. As you can clearly see that their skin color looks a lot better and a lot brighter here. But like I said, I'm going to be making a separate action set of brushes for that, so I don't want to show you how to do that. But everybody wanted to know how to get the background color, and this is how you can do it. And 3 easy actions, 3 easy steps. You can play around and make it your own. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you really enjoy this action set because I spent so much time making them. Also, make sure that you check out the Carnival Light bokeh collection because they are absolutely beautiful. It's got real bokeh and real light leaks, and they are just beautiful. You can add them into all these vintage actions and they look incredible. So I'm sorry about my dog, she's crazy, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys later.